the corporate world, it gets such a bad reputation.
I would say the biggest challenge in a corporate though is the red tape that you do have.
A lot of the time companies would say, no, you can't do that, right?
Nick Vinckier, VP of Corporate Innovation at Chalhoub Group, delivered 3 consecutive wins for most innovative retail company.
So shopping is about to change completely with AI.
Dubai's created that on-demand ecosystem.
100%. If I don't get same-day delivery on whatever I shop, I don't buy anymore.
LinkedIn top voice contributor tells us what it takes to succeed with an entrepreneur mindset.
Everyone thinks that they're very hardworking until you see what hard work really looks like. Chalhoub Group started even a program where employees could apply for becoming an entrepreneur, an entrepreneur.
Oh, wow.
That is cool.
My wife's like, stop it. What are you doing? Stop starting businesses everywhere we go. But I can do this in Chalhoub.
What are some challenges that you've had that you feel like you've overcome?
Oh, I don't think we have enough time for the challenges.
Corporate life often faces a bad reputation, but our guest today thrives in it. Nick Vinckier, the VP of Corporate Innovation at Chalhoub, is here to change our minds. Nick, honestly, it's so amazing to have you here. VP of Corporate Innovation at Chalhoub, what an achievement. 7 years strong, absolutely loving it. What a journey that's been for you.
Yeah, absolutely, and thank you for having me. I'm super stoked to be here.
Oh, phenomenal. In the corporate world, it gets such a bad reputation. You know, you must see a lot with candidates in terms of thinking, you know, it's a lot of skepticism around it, but you've had such a wonderful time in corporate space. How's that journey been for you?
It's been a very particular journey, and indeed, what you say, corporates get a bad rep sometimes, especially in the innovation field. My job description is innovating. I look after all the new business models and emerging technology of Chalhoub Group, and especially when I talk to peers from other companies, it's always like, it's very challenging to work inside a company. I have a very entrepreneurial background myself, so I had my own businesses before. And when I talk to friends that are not in a corporate, they don't understand why I actually am in a big, giant corporation like Chalhoub Group. But I do feel like if you combine the massive gunpowder of a corporation with passion and you work around with the obstacles that you do have, like in any other company, you can do brilliant things just because you have way more leverage. You work with the best brands in the world. You have way more people that can help you in that journey. Combining the best of both worlds rather than looking at it from the negative side, I'm just loving it for sure.
Oh, and that's most people find a lot of challenges, especially in the corporate space. What are some challenges that you've had that you feel like you've overcome and created it such a nice space to work in?
Oh, I don't think we have enough time for the challenges. I think anything that is worth pursuing is challenging, right? So there's always people that don't understand what you want to do. So they're like, okay, I don't get it. From the business case or even the ID stage already, it's like, okay, I don't get what we're doing. So it takes some time to explain people. And the more people you have in a company, the more people you need to kind of convince and make them understand what you want to achieve, where you want to go. So from the first step, from ideation to proving the concept to scaling it up, there's always challenges, but if it's worth doing and worth pursuing, you just overcome those challenges and you make them happen. I would say the biggest challenge in a corporate though is the red tape that you do have. Especially we work with the biggest luxury brands in the world. And we at Chalhoub Group, we represent all the luxury brands here in the region. And we work with these brands. We're partners in the region for them. And we need to also convince them. And they sit in their HQs in Paris or London, Milan, New York, whatever. And for them to trust us with new business models is very challenging. For example, we launched Swarovski Rental last year. And it was a very long lead up to that to really explain to the Swarovski management what we wanted to achieve, why the Middle East is a good market to test this first, why they shouldn't do it themselves, or why they should be able to work with us. and so on. So that's challenging because you have a lot of people to convince.
Lots of stakeholders.
Lots of stakeholders and lots of eyes on the project as well. A lot of red tape, because if you do stuff yourself, back in the days when I had my own things, if you test, if you experiment and it fails, which happens when you do innovation work, it's okay. The only thing that's on the line is your own name or a brand that is not really big. But if you can't mess around or play around with a brand like Swarovski or a Sephora or Faces, Level Shoes, Lacoste, you cannot play around with that, right? The reputation is just too important and too big. So that is the red tape that you cannot go out. But we try to build an environment where we can play inside the kind of sandbox that we create, and within that space, we just try to have a lot of fun.
You seem to make it work. And Ahmed, what kind of problems do you see with candidates when they go into a corporate environment? What challenges do they face?
It's so refreshing, because to hear you say that corporate gets a bad rap, normally the longer you are in a corporate, so when people become in their 40s, they become very cynical about corporate. So when you sit here and say, actually, you get the infrastructure, you've got the people, it's amazing, that insight. There's a lot of truth in that, because you're basically making the best with what you have, as opposed to saying, I could do this alone, but then I need to take all that risk. Whereas I can build my companies within these companies to some degree, which is a really nice, I don't hear this insight a lot.
But can you? I hear it a lot as well. For example, with the projects that we start, like Soulmates is a good example of a sneaker brand that we started.
So what is that your creation, or how did what?
So the idea is I co-founded it together with a colleague of mine in our team,
and that was allowed. So because you need, I mean, that in a corporate alone, a lot of the time companies would say, no, you can't do that, right?
Absolutely.
There'd be some rules around that, and it needs to go through a certain process.
Yeah. So actually, it's stimulated in Chalhoub Group. So a couple of years ago, the Chalhoub Group started even a program, an entrepreneurship program called Vinckier, where employees could apply for becoming an entrepreneur.
Wow,
and
that is cool.
And the group helps you and supports you in that kind of in that journey. You pitch your business idea, and if it's a good idea, you get mentorship. You even keep your salary for the first 3 months. You prove that concept. And if it doesn't work out, there's no fear to lose your job. So you can just return to your job again and go back if it doesn't work out.
That's really cool.
And if it does work out, then the group gives you funding to scale your business. And today we still have one of those businesses which is absolutely thriving. It's called Wear That.
The clothing.
Indeed.
I've tried that.
The
box.
There you go.
That's Chalhoub?
That's indeed. That's a brilliant idea.
So what's the box? What is it?
So it's basically a personal shopping experience. So you have someone that tells you kind of what you should be wearing, and then they send you a box to your home to try everything on.
Wow. Okay.
And that was an idea of one of our colleagues, Heidi.
She's Australian, right?
Wow. She's Australian.
She's Australian.
A brilliant entrepreneur, and she had this idea to do this. And when you have these ideas, if you want to do this, you always do the same thing. So if you're really passionate, you will start doing this after hours because you want to work on this. Yeah. It's really what you want to do. And if it starts to work, you need to make a decision. Like you will leave your corporate job and then you'll start your entrepreneurial journey if that happens. Mm-hmm. So for us, there's always a big threat or risk to lose high performance people, high performing individuals that jump ship and to start their own business. So we thought, the group thought, if we create some sort of a program to identify these high potentials that have that entrepreneurial drive, and we might risk losing them in their own venture, why don't we help them setting up the ventures? Why don't we fund them? Why shouldn't we be an investor in their businesses?
I wonder how many other groups are taking this approach, because there's always this fear if you're too entrepreneurial, you're a flight risk. Mm-hmm. But yet you want all of that entrepreneurial energy, that risk-taking, that speed, but you need to keep it somehow within the company, and then you lose those. So this hybrid model is...
But great people with great ideas that have a lot of passion for what they want to do, they will leave anyway. If you don't help them, if you don't facilitate whatever they want to pursue, they will leave anyway. So we have an option, right? Like you either help them build what they want to build, or you say, okay, we cannot help you build what you want to build, and then they leave you. So the question is,
you may not be at Chalhoub yourself, right? I don't know the story, but you built something internally, and now it's
so for Soulmates, for example, to come back to that, it is part of my scope to come up with new business models and to experiment with emerging technology. So back in the days, we launched the first NFT for Chalhoub with the silverware brand that we own, Christophe.
Yeah.
We launched that. We sold it out in 5 minutes. Great success story. And then our management immediately asked the day after saying congratulations, but what's next? So we started brainstorming a lot.
That's how innovation works, right? What's next?
Congrats. Okay, what's next? You can enjoy one day, congrats, and then next day you need to think about new things. So we brainstormed on a lot of things, and then eventually thought, okay, why don't we use NFTs? So basically virtual memberships. To bring sneakerheads together around sneaker designers, because people don't really know who the sneaker designer is behind, or the designer behind the shoes that we're wearing today, except if it's like these very big luxury designers. In fashion, most of the people know who designed the big brands. Even if Louis Vuitton today, Pharrell Williams is there, and everyone knows Virgil Abloh and la 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 la. But people don't know who created or designed the sneakers of Adidas, Nike, New Balance, la la. So we thought if we sell virtual memberships in the form of NFTs to people that become a community around the sneaker designers that create amazing sneakers independently, this can become some sort of a crowdfunding mechanic. And then the designer is in the middle with the community around it, and you have virtual memberships that connect people around it. And this is how Soulmates got started. And that's like you become a soulmate of the designer. By
very clever naming.
That's really cool.
By buying some sort of a virtual membership to his or her club. And
but you actually have the shoe, right? You can actually.
And indeed, and that provides funding to the designer to create the shoes that they design, because it's extremely hard for independent designers to create sneakers. And that's a bit of the power dynamic between a sneaker brand and a sneaker designer is completely off, where the brand has all leverage and the designer has nothing. They barely get like a designer fee, and that's kind of it. They get like maybe $10,000 maximum if they create a very, very nice design. And you never hear of the designer anymore, generally. We thought we need to flip it, because the designer is everything. Without the design, there's no sneaker or there's no shoe. So we try to flip that. Going forward, or flash forward for a couple of months and even years now, we kind of skipped the Web3 approach. So we started as a Web3 powered sneaker brand, but now it's a global sneaker brand, because we see that the shoes that we create, the sneaker designers that we work with, are quite popular, and the concept is really getting traction.
What do you mean? Sorry, Web3 designer brand.
So the whole NFT part,
okay.
We kind of like put that on the background. We still have chips, NFC chips in every sneaker.
So they're unique. Is that the idea?
Yes, indeed.
So
Indeed. So we still have, every sneaker is still chipped. You can scan it with your smartphone. You can see the serial number.
Yeah.
You can.
So it's the 143rd shoe.
Yeah,
that's how they
have the bragging rights.
Limited edition.
I bought the fifth one. I have a limited edition one. I bought the one that Kanye West wore. Maybe right now it wouldn't be really worth a lot anymore if Kanye wore it. But that is still there. The technology in the shoe, but the NFT, the virtual membership, that is something that we put in the background, because it's not really a thing anymore right now, and it makes it very complex and complicated for people to get it. So right now, Soulmates is a sneaker brand globally. We work together with Val Christopher, amazing creative director, who's going to create and design shoes on the go. We're launching actually the new sneaker 17th of April. So we're very excited about that.
It's coming up.
Cool.
It's coming up indeed. So keep an eye out on that. So this is part of the job description to play around with that type of technology, chips in sneakers or chips in shoes, because if we can do it in sneakers, why don't we put it in handbags? Why don't we look into a beauty application for that?
And that's the innovative part, because
indeed,
leading the innovation, right? Because innovation comes in so many different forms, whether we're talking about, like you said, emerging technologies or new products. Do people come to you with innovative ideas? What's the process there with innovation at Chalhoub?
There's two ways of doing it. So either it works kind of like how we say top down. Mm-hmm. We research on a daily basis. We see what's happening. We do trend watching. We look at competitors. We look at industries adjacent to luxury fashion and beauty. and homeware, and we look at, okay, what's popping in other parts of the world? What can we replicate, or what does a consumer tell us? So top down, we come up with ideas, we trend watch, we say, okay, this might work or might not work. Or it's bottom up, where people from the business units themselves, they feel, okay, in the store, people are asking for this, or we have a pain point. Can we not solve it like this or like that? So it works in two streams. Either we come up with it and we go to the business and propose it, or they come up with an idea themselves and we work on it together. And usually the ideas that come from the business itself, those are the best ones, because people are in contact with the customer on a daily basis, or they live the pain themselves. So if we can find an elegant solution to that, usually it's a smash hit.
With multinational companies, there's a phrase whereby they hire really brilliant people or great people, and then they make them average over time. Obviously, Chalhoub is a regional group, or started locally, right? So maybe it's a bit easier to put in place this entrepreneurial framework where you keep entrepreneurs in the business. How would multinationals do it? Like, how would a Procter & Gamble or a Nestle or one of these powerhouses, could they do this?
I think whether you're a small I think it's actually harder for small companies than for big companies, because big companies have way more funds to do this.
Right.
So the risk is much smaller. I think if you run a 4-people business, to appoint one person and say you're also now the head of innovation next to your day job, it's going to be very hard, because if you're only 4 people, you need to run around everywhere. And everyone is actually the head of innovation in a 4-people company, I would say. If you're 160,000 people company, having 4 or 5 people that are dedicated to innovation to avoid disruption, I don't think it is a luxury or something that is an investment that is too much. Especially if you look at the return on investment. I think even as an investor, if you're publicly traded right now and you would put on the record and say, we don't invest in innovation, your stock price will go, literally to the bottom. So I think it's kind of a necessity.
And you retain your best people too, right? I mean, that's what's the value of that is huge, right?
Absolutely. And I think it's very important to understand that whether you want this or not, the customer is always changing. You always work with new generations. There's always new channels coming up. So back in the days, it was Facebook didn't even exist, and then social media came with Facebook. Then it became Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok. What's next? So customers change, channels change. So you need to adjust the product.
What is next after TikTok?
I don't.
I haven't got a Snapchat account, so I missed that one.
I don't know. I think Clubhouse kind of died out too.
Oh yeah, that was quick. That came and went.
That was fun. I quite like that. But yeah,
that was during COVID. Clubhouse, I think, was bigger.
It was, during.
Because you were stuck at home just joining these chat rooms.
I think right now the next big hype is already starting, and it's AI. I think if we look at what customers or consumers are using a lot, is all these AI apps, ChatGPT and the variants of that. And we see that shopping behavior from the discovery phase starts in a completely different way than it used to be. So consumers start their skincare journey on ChatGPT, where they say, I had an outbreak, what should I do? And then ChatGPT plays a bit of the role of the beauty advisor and says, you need to do this, this, and this. These products might help you. So as beauty brands, you need to make sure that you're there. That if ChatGPT...
How do you get there? I mean, because that's a combination of everything on the internet, right?
Indeed. So back in the days, you had search engine optimization and search engine advertising. Today, it's LLM optimization, and I'm sure that the next
language
step
learning
will also
models.
be LLM advertising will come as well. With tools like Perplexity as well, you see that there's the pro version, and you have Perplexity Shopping is coming up as well.
What is Perplexity?
It's some sort of an advanced competitor to ChatGPT, to OpenAI. So it's something that goes more in more depth in terms of research and
like another DeepSeek.
I was going to say there's a lot.
It's a variant of that, but it's a bit stronger in research. It gives you links. It shows you images straight away. So it's basically like Google but on steroids. It's much more. Searching is much easier in Perplexity than on ChatGPT, for example. So. People are using this to shop, to compare different brands to each other, to understand, okay, what should I do if this happens, or how do I match these outfits? So shopping is about to change completely with AI. So.
And with when I go outside my house, every day outside each front door, there's a new delivery from a Namshi, a Noon, it's clothes, you name it. Someone's ordered something online, clothing, right? How is your business model changing now with online?
Mm-hmm.
And how easy is that with, I mean, things just returns would freak me out, and the cost of managing that supply chain.
It's just insane, right? The customer has never been more demanding than they are today. And I think the customer of tomorrow will be even more demanding. And it's because of this. So if we just go back 5 or 7 years ago when I first came to Dubai, I'm from Belgium. So I thought it was magic that I could order chicken wings in my hotel room at 11 p.m. at night. And they just arrived within 15 minutes. I thought, oh my God, this is literally insane. In Belgium, I can order a pizza before 10 p.m. After 10 p.m., the pizza place is closed.
No pizza, yeah. That's so anymore. True. Sorry, we're closed.
But I came to Dubai, and it's like 7 years ago. For me, that was magic. Flash forward right now. If I don't get same-day delivery on whatever I shop, I don't buy anymore. So only in 7 years, my shopping pattern completely changed. And I'm part of a generation that experienced the world before internet was a thing or before smartphones were a thing. Imagine if you are an 18-year-old or a 15-year-old today, and you're not catering towards that kind of experience or that kind of expectation, you completely miss out. So very demanding customer. Everything needs to be here and right now. The availability needs to be on top. In terms of sustainability, you need to be a sustainable brand as well, because especially younger generations, they really care about what a brand does towards the environment. And number 3, you need to really show that you're innovative, that you're different than someone else. So just being gray and kind of like playing it safe will not cut it anymore. So that's what innovation will do for you. Before the internet or before e-commerce was really a thing, so the only way to shop was to go to the store. So whether it was for something that you needed very quickly, or if you really wanted a day out. Today you have separate channels. If you really want something very quickly, you know what you want. I have a headache. I don't have aspirin with me. Let me just order it online. I want it in 15 minutes. I can do that.
InstaShop.
InstaShop.
Dubai's created that on-demand ecosystem.
100%.
I bought honey on InstaShop the other day. I mean, that is kind of disgusting of me that a motorcycle rider dropped honey. Yeah. So I'm guilty of that crime. So, I'm sorry to the driver.
But it's a great example, because that is convenient shopping. You know what you want. You don't really want to discover anymore. You don't want to understand. You don't want to compare 17 brands of honey. You're just going to, is the price okay? Okay, can I get it delivered? Okay, boom. If the alternative is to go to the store yourself, hop in your car or whatever, go to the store to buy the honey, you'll say, I don't want to do that. Like that's just insane. The other journey in shopping is that discovery, is experience, is a day out with your family, is going to the mall, going to the cinema at night, for example, or having a nice lunch as well. And it's that total experience that you have. So it's a completely different thing why you're going to the store right now. You're going for an experience. You want to see the product, you want to compare a bit of product, you want to try it on, you want to be sure about that. Especially in luxury, you want that personal touch. You want to talk with an advisor and say, okay, how can I style this? Okay, this is a handbag you want to buy. We also have this and that. So it's a completely different objective or a completely different journey. And both journeys need to complement each other, because especially with luxury purchases, you will do a bit of research, you will fall in love with the product online, then you may go to the mall to try it on, to see if it fits with you, then you might go back home and then order it again online, and then you want that great delivery. So we need to make sure as retailers that we at every touch point in that journey, we give you the best experience possible, and that everything is linked with each other. Because if you go to the website or the app,
I've done that many times.
You want a great experience, especially if you're online and offline, right?
Indeed. And if we know that Robyn visited the website and you put something in your wish list and you go to Level Shoes, for example, in Dubai Mall, we can actually check what you like.
There's an expectation too. I expect them to know what I like as well.
There you go.
Similar things, especially when you're shopping. A lot of the websites are now telling you this matches with that. This is what you should be buying.
You expect in the store or online?
Both. So I think there's an integration now for when you end up visiting the store, that they know that you're the customer and you have a list of history and things.
Wow, I didn't know that.
The worst thing, for example, even if we go back, whether it's shopping for handbags and shoes or jewelry or beauty products, cosmetics, or whether it's food. I mean, if you go to a restaurant where they ask your telephone number, your email address, whatever, they know you're the best customer because you go every week, for example. If you order the same thing every week, every Saturday you go there, and then you order online on a Friday night, and then they show you anything except what you always ask, you would think, come on guys, like, you know who I am. Like, I need to log in with my email address.
Yeah.
You don't know my preferences. This is just stupid. Like, the convenience would be like, hey,
order again.
Yeah, we know that you like. We know,
which is what we do on Deliveroo and Talabat when it's food. Yeah,
there we go.
Then I tell you, you recently ordered.
Yeah,
and this is the type of expectation that luxury customers have, or not even luxury customers across the board have today.
This is all part of the innovation process.
This is not fully part of the innovation scope. But
this will be behavioral psychology and shopping. Decision tree purchases,
indeed.
right?
So how we actually structure it is, there's McKinsey, the consultants have made a great model where there are 3 horizons of innovation. So the first horizon is very much today. What can we do today to make the experience of a customer today better? Conversion rate optimization, using behavioral psychology, in-store optimization. If we put products lower or higher on the shelves, for example, the conversion rate will be better. Email marketing, all of that. So that's horizon 1. Horizon 3 are technologies that are, so crazy that it's bonkers. It's what Elon Musk is doing most of the time. So he looks at spaceships, creating new electric cars, Tesla back in the days, PayPal that they created with a couple of friends. Horizon 3, very crazy stuff that no one can really think about because it doesn't exist yet. What we focus on in corporate innovation, especially in Chalhoub, is the second horizon. So that's mainly going to be new business models and emerging technology that we see that can make the lives better of either the customer or our colleagues in the group. So to do a better job or to give the customer a better experience. And that translates then in more revenue or less cost. And we do have a very big objective in terms of sustainability, because just innovating for the sake of innovating and making more money just for the sake of it is actually very negative for the environment. And we do have a very big pledge towards sustainability and the environment.
It's your focus. Nick, I want to talk about your non-negotiables at work. What keeps you in top performance?
What keeps me in top performance? I have a couple of non-negotiables at work. So I demand very high standards. I think excellence is a non-negotiable for me. And you can ask my team as well. We set very high standards for ourselves. And we hold each other accountable towards that. And I really think it's very important that if I drop the ball, that people in my team tell me as well, whether it's like the youngest person in the team or the oldest person in the team, that we do that. And outside work, I'm very fond of sports. So I have 2 slots in my agenda that no one can book except the big bosses, I would say, or if it's like really, really important. But my 7 a.m. and 7 p.m. slots are for myself and for sports, because I feel just much better if I train and work out.
What sports are you into? I mean, I already know. We met at the gym, so we did a camp in Thailand.
Indeed,
a crazy camp in Thailand.
So I just love fitness overall. So whether it's running, but yeah, I usually do some combination of strength training and interval work. So CrossFit is something that I do love a lot.
And you love burpees, you can tell.
I hate burpees.
Yeah, nobody loves burpees.
You love burpees. I don't lie. When I took you to the erg training class at Chalk, you absolutely loved it.
Let's say I love...
The pain is addictive, but I don't know if we love in the moment.
It's the movement. Like, could you just get a better movement or then...
The best feeling of a burpee is when you're done. So...
when you're up in the air jumping.
Or you heard that, flat on the floor.
I think burpees are enjoyable when you're super fit. When you're super fit and you can crush 50 of them, no problem.
Okay.
But when your cardio's, not now because I haven't been doing them, but yeah, if your shoulders are in
pretty good shape, you could crush 50 of them.
50,
yeah.
Nick needs to do 100. He does 100. He does 100 to warm up.
And otherwise, in a second,
we've got the space here.
Let's go.
So I was talking to a girl yesterday here at work, and she told me that one of her problems working here is that her manager needs her at night, like for work calls and stuff. And I flippantly replied with, that for me is a non-negotiable. Like, I just wouldn't do it. Like, for me, after 6 p.m., my brain shuts off. I want to feel good. I need to get up early in the morning to train. So in a corporate world, and here we're not so corporate. So in a corporate world, I mean, Chalhoub 16,000 people, you can call that corporate, right? How do you do that when you've got a boss that's saying, I need you at that time? What do you do?
Then there's rarely things that are so important for me to be at that time every day at 7 p.m. Like I can't imagine what is so important that I on a daily basis need to be there between 7 p.m. and 8 p.m. I don't know what is so important. So
I can't wait till tomorrow morning, right?
Or even up. So I have no issue to work at 8 p.m., 9 p.m., 12 p.m. Like I have no issue if I need to work all night. No issue whatsoever.
But that's your holy. These are your holy
7 a.m.
slots.
to 8 a.m. and 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. I will take for myself by default. And again, if it's something that we cannot move, if it's a crisis, of course I have no issue to change that. And then the day after I go again. So it's not. But for me, it's a non-negotiable because it protects me from going overboard and working 24/7. And I need to put that in place because when I was younger, I never prioritized my own health, my mental health for this. I worked very hard. When I was 19, I had my own nightclub.
Oh, wow.
There's no days off when you have a club for yourself. So you work 24/7. You burn out completely. You don't take any time to work on your health, your physical health. So after a while, you're very unhealthy. You don't look really well. You don't feel well. You just crash and burn. And then a couple of years later, when I was into consulting, same thing happened. And I just went completely overboard, but very mentally. And I was in a dark space. I didn't feel well. I worked completely and I burnt out. So I woke up and I couldn't do anything anymore. And for me, these, I would say even tools help me to be at my best and to keep going for a very, very long time. So I'm in it for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
Right? So I'm not here to do it for 3-4 years and be the best corporate innovator or a VP in Chalhoub Group. I'm here for longevity. And if possible, I want to stay for the rest of my career in Chalhoub Group at my prime. And I think that my employer also wants me at my best. And if that is what it takes, I only ask 2 hours of my own time for me. I don't think that's enough.
Yeah, look, I say to it makes you happier, right? It makes you a better person when you take care of yourself. People want to be around you. Your energy's good.
And you pass that on. Like I have my own non-negotiables as well. It's very similar in terms of training. And then some particular times on the weekend, but then I also tell that to my team as well, because you pass that on and they feel like they're in a safe space to then create their own non-negotiables. Because I think all the time they feel like they have to be available. I know Sarah and my team, I have a particular ringtone. She puts this particular ringtone for me. I go, don't do that. You'll have a negative.
Like the alarm.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why do you do that? She's like, but just in case if you need me. I'm like, no, please don't do that. That's going to give you anxiety and have a really negative association. If I'm going to message you late, I'm going to say, I'm sorry, I'm messaging you this late. Because I shouldn't be messaging you this late. And I'm not going to send anything that's, like you said, it doesn't need to be actioned at that time if it's not urgent.
Yeah.
There's this whole trend with scheduling emails now. You might see it on Outlook. So you schedule your emails. It's getting big in Australia. You schedule your emails at the end of the day, so that just pumps them out at 9 a.m. the next morning. I'm just
do you do that?
No, I don't do that. But in Australia, they're very strict on not sending emails after 7.
Oh, I think it's nearly a law. Is it nearly illegal, right?
But
nearly borderline. But then you wake up to like 20 emails in the morning.
Yeah, but I think there's also
like the old days when you plugged in your laptop because there was no Wi-Fi. You had to use the LAN connection.
I think it's also a way. I mean, I think it might also be a way, if you look at it differently, you kind of protect people from themselves, right? If you know that you have people in your team that are not able to protect themselves, maybe younger people who have not reached the point of burning out and not prioritizing their own mental health. They might be connected 24/7. And if you send an email, even though you don't want to reply straight away, they might be like, okay, I probably need to reply because my manager sent me something.
Yeah.
Or even if they don't reply, they just start to think about it and it takes like some mental space.
Yeah.
And when you grow in your career, you kind of can ignore those emails, or okay, what do I need to prioritize or not even check them. One of the best advices that I got from a big shot CEO from outside Dubai, I asked him, like, how do you are so zen? Like, you're so zen, you lead so much people, you have so much stress, big insurance company, there's so much stuff going on. He said, when I don't check my emails when I'm not ready for war. So he means, like, if I open up my mailbox, I know if I see it, I need to be ready to act on it straight away. But if I know that I'm not ready to do that, I don't open it and I don't read the email at all.
Conscious, yeah.
And since that day, I do the same thing. Like I'm at home or something like that before bed. I'm never going to check my emails whatsoever because I know I'm not ready for war then.
That's great discipline, right?
Yeah, it stimulates you.
And if it's very, if there's something blowing up, they're going to call me anyway. And he said the same thing. Like if something really bad happens, my people, they will call me. Nothing's going to be on an email and say, hey.
Yeah, hey, by the way.
The company's
really
on fire.
So
they will call me. So he said, I'm not opening my mailbox anymore at night unless if I know, okay, I can act on it. I still have 2 or 3 hours. Or mentally, I'm ready for that. And I think younger people might need that protection against that because they still check their emails at night and think, oh, I need to go for it. Or they think about it all night or something like that.
Yeah, it stimulates them. When you're hiring in for your team, what's the one skill that you look for that you think is a standout?
There's a couple of things that I look for, actually. I don't think there's one thing that I look for.
The top 3.
I think what I always look for in people is a very particular background, a story that is a bit weird, something that is not common, and especially that they're very, very hungry, that they really want to do something, that they want to leave a mark, that they want to move the needle, as I said before. But I find it very interesting to talk with people that have very different backgrounds. It adds to the diversity in the team as well. We have someone with a journalist background in the team. We have someone with a space engineering background in the team. And just the combination, just the 3 of us, if with the 3 of us talk, the conversation is very different because we have very different angles to talk, to look at issues and to come up with our own solutions from our different backgrounds. And I think today also the diversity topic is getting a bit of a bad reputation, unrightfully, because what is beautiful about having a diverse team is the diversity of thought and ideas. And if you all have old white men or 35-year-old white men sitting at the table, everyone's going to come up with the same idea and the same solution. But you have a table with very young, very old, all colors, all genders you can think of, looking at the same problem, rest assured that the solutions that we will come up with will be completely different. So I'm a very, very big advocate for the most diversity ever. And so I will never look at like a blueprint of a corporate innovator because 1, it doesn't exist, and 2, it would be very bad to have that. So I always look for weird backgrounds, weird stories.
How do you source that? That's
what I was asking in the break. I wasn't sure. I don't really know.
No, but how would you source that? If he goes, find me someone with a bit of a weird background.
That's difficult because we're paid to do a certain job, and when it's a super weird brief, we can do it, but not always. It's not always so easy because that comes down to all of you just got to meet loads and loads of people, or you'd know the 2 or 3 people to call. But to do that as a fresh, let's say, search,
Do people share? I mean, like you'd have to really be probing them to say their story, right?
You'd be asking people. I'd be calling guys like Nick saying, who are these? Who are the people that you know?
Yeah.
It wouldn't be, going through LinkedIn and looking at people in certain companies, because for that weird story or those people with really strange backgrounds. And
the tendency is what we see, let's say the common theme we see is that all of them are very entrepreneurial. They started their own businesses. They're very sales driven, very commercial some way. So not the best salespeople. That's not the thing, but they have a commercial sense because they had their own businesses. They know, okay, if we don't do stuff at the end of the month, there is no salary because that's not how it works. Indeed, they know that sometimes I need to do this or that. Like a job description is kind of fluid. I know what I need to do, obviously, because I have KPIs and but at the end of the day, if something drops on the floor, we need to pick it up. We don't have a stuff pick upper in our team. I mean, so that's everyone just does what they need to do.
Do you have any hiring disasters that you can share?
You do. We know.
Of course, I think of course
we've all got them, right?
Yeah, we've all got them.
I think it's what I think is very hard to do in any hiring process is seeing the mentality of someone. Are they really hardworking or not? And that's the thing that you only see 2-3 weeks in. And actually, that's something after 2-3 days you actually see. Okay, is this the right person or not? In terms of like like work ethics and all of that stuff. And it's extremely hard to spot that, because if you ask someone, are you hardworking?
Of course I am. Super hardworking.
What's not hardworking for you?
One time, like I always ask, can you tell me a bad trait about yourself? If I would ask your friends, what is one bad thing about you? What would they tell me? And you cannot say you're the hardest worker, or
I'm a perfectionist.
I'm a perfectionist.
I'm a perfectionist.
I work way too hard to reach my goal. Like you cannot say that. It has to be something that you truly think you need to work on, and we can help you with developing as well. And one time there was this person who said, "Yeah, I'm not a hard worker. I love to sleep, and I actually sleep a lot. So if I can, I would wake up every morning around 9:30, 10 a.m. And then come to work around 11 a.m. And then they go, do you think that's possible in this job?" I thought, that's probably hard.
This guy had low EQ. I mean, he couldn't even figure out how to navigate the question.
I mean, they were very honest.
Was that the end of the interview, or did you carry on talking about weight training and other things?
We kept it relatively short, that interview. But it's very, very hard, because usually everyone will say I'm very hardworking. And I think actually everyone thinks in their head that they're very hardworking until you see what hard work really looks like.
I think the question of asking what would your mum or dad or your best friend or your manager say about you is a really good one. Because people can immediately do that. Yeah. But when you ask, how do you rate yourself? It's quite hard to do.
Yeah.
It's difficult.
Yeah, indeed. So that's something that we always look for and try to ask, what would they say? And hope that they say, my friends would say that I'm lazy. And then we know, if your friends already say that you're lazy, then your teammates will probably say the same thing.
Thanks for coming to the interview.
Thank you so much. But disasters, I think there's always like a couple of things here and there that are funny. Every now and then I think about this, and I think should I be more strict or not with teams, or should we be more strict just in general? It's something that I'd love to philosophize about. But then I think if you're very strict in favor of the employee, then you can do that. So if you say we work from 9 to 5 and we don't send you emails after 5 p.m. anymore, and you have your break, and this is like we are going to follow that meticulously, then you can say, but we expect you to be in the office then. But you know that after 5 p.m., we don't expect anything from you anymore. Never a weekend, So you can do that. But if you, on the other hand,
but the world doesn't work that way.
But if you then expect
time zones,
there are some countries that do that.
I think in Europe it's very.
Switzerland's very much like that.
In the US, there's a lot of companies that have that strict policy as well. So after work, you clock out. It's done over. If on the other hand, if you kind of expect people to also also work and pick up the phone whenever we call, and also do some weekend work and this and that, then you can also not expect, if they take a couple of hours for themselves, or to pick up their kid, or to iron their clothes, you cannot expect let's be human. So it's a give and take.
Yeah.
And I always think if we would ask to be very strict, then you also need to expect that your team members are going to be very strict with you and say, hey, Habibi, it's 8 p.m. I worked already for 12 hours today. I'm not picking up my phone anymore after I worked 12 hours already. You can expect me to fly to there and this and that. So I think it's a bit of a balance and understanding each other. Right?
And the environment. I have a friend, she's a pilot, and she's like, Robyn, when I turn off the engine, my work's done. And I was like, oh, I forget what that feels like. Yeah, right. Yeah. She's like, oh, that's strange that you're working still 100%. Because for me, the minute the plane goes off, I'm done. I'm just like, I don't think I've ever felt that feeling. Because you're always on thinking about the work, and you're always planning for the next day. Whereas it's like, for her, it's when's my next flight? Is my next flight?
My wife used to be a police officer. So for her, very, very stressful job, very, very demanding. But as soon as, she takes off the uniform and she goes back to civilian mode, it's over. So she's not thinking about emails or this and that. The work is done until the next day, and you go back to your work, and it's.
There's something pretty cool about that.
Yeah, it's super different. When
really disconnect.
Completely disconnect. So I was like, oh, you must feel so relaxed now.
Yeah, you have actually a holiday 2 to 3 days a week, essentially, right?
I think this is something that we do need to. In 2 ways that we need to look at it. I think we need to protect ourselves better for this. And we need to protect our team members better for this. So we need to put guardrails for this. because we're so connected, and there's always another call you can do. There's always another email you can send, and there's always another deck you can create, and but do we really need to do that now? Do we really need to do that 9 p.m., 10 p.m., 6 a.m. in the morning? Do we need to do that? I don't think so. And trust me, I consider myself a very hard worker, and I put the bar very high for my team members as well in terms of hard work and working a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But on the other hand, we really need to be mindful about, when is enough, and is this going to drive, that extra, like, what are we talking about? Like, is this input going to drive exponential output or not? Mm-hmm. And if the answer is no, then let's consider that this job or this thingy that we're going to do is kind of futile, and this can wait until tomorrow. If it is, on the other hand, extremely important and is going to really, move the needle, and we have to do it now, let's do it now.
I totally agree. And I think you learn that through taking on too much, going, what the hell am I doing? Mm-hmm. I'm dying. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm just not happy. I'm not productive. I'm missing those workouts. I'm sleeping badly. Mm-hmm. I'm just coming to work tired. So then you start saying no more. And then maybe you go the other way. Mm-hmm. But it's finding that balance. I don't think we get it right all the time, but...
And that's why I think the role of a manager or a leader is very important for someone who has gone through that. It's I think a good leader already sees that in people and thinks, okay, this is actually a risk. Mm. Like this person is actually a risk for themselves. They do too much. They burn the candle from both edges. Mm-hmm. We need to slow this person down. And trust me, I think a lot of people don't do that because they think, we'll make a lazy horse out of this person, which is not going to happen, because if it's in your personality to work very, very hard, you need to put the brakes on. Like, I know a couple of people in our team that are like that, and if I don't, like, even with even with the brakes that I'm putting on them, they keep working and keep working and keep working and keep working. So, I mean, it's
great that you're super aware of it.
We need to be protective. We need to be protective about that, because if they burn out, if something changes overnight, because your brain can flip, you can be fried, and to the point that it's over, you lose great people, and that's the last thing you want. Just because it's already very hard to find great people. So if you find them, cherish them, and make sure that you can run the marathon, which we always say it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. That you can run the marathon together. I think I'm very fortunate now in my career that I'm at a point where I not only am running a marathon myself, but I can run it together with people and help them run it.
It's so nice to see that passion, Nick, honestly. Thank you so much for sharing all of that, especially so refreshing in the corporate space, something so positive that people are perceiving so negative. So thank you so much for joining us today. So many nuggets of information, especially in the fashion world. Thank you for listening to Chat GRG. Be sure to follow us on our socials on TikTok, YouTube, and Instagram. See you next time.